It has been 35 years since the Vietnam War has ended, yet the musical Miss Saigon continues to stir emotions, and sometimes they're raw, painful, and dramatic. Proctor's Theater in Schenectady hopes to capture some of that magic, and joining us now is Kevin Gray. He plays the engineer of Miss Saigon, and thanks so very much for joining us. We
Pleasure.
appreciate it. This is something that so many people love. I mean, this was when it first came out, it was such a big hit. Tell me why you are a part of it. What drew you to this?
Well, the show has an incredibly important, powerful healing message. I mean, what you were talking about is, I think, you know, the Vietnam War is for a lot of historians, they believe that was the end of innocence in this country, and that we've never really recovered it in the same way. That particular action, and you know, watching the news just today and seeing that story about Dr. Little in Afghanistan, and knowing that this is an ongoing learning process for the human race, that, you know, that we go into countries that are used to defending themselves in ways that we can't possibly fathom, and we run into issues. And also the question of just how we build empires and what our place is in that history and so on, and the fact that we forget that these are ultimately individual people, that these are ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances, and that's what makes the story so compelling.
And now you play, I haven't seen it, I want to see it, but you play, as I understand, you play the owner of the bar or the place where the people come to meet, and there's a contest for Miss Saigon, and then take it from there.
Among the other things that he does to sort of keep the GIs interested. The show is set against the backdrop of the very final days of Vietnam. For those who are old enough among your watchers to remember 1975 and the evacuation, it's right before, and we actually create later in the show very famously, the evacuation of Saigon, the helicopter landing pad, and the final evacuation, which, if you remember, is that famous story where 8 guys were left on the roof after everyone thought, you know, Kissinger and Ford were toasting, and then they said, "Oops, we have a problem." So it's set against that backdrop, and this is the final desperate days for the people still in the city to try to somehow get out. And for the girls in this club, which I run as an entrepreneur,
of course,
for them it's the last chance to meet someone that might get them out. And that is how the story of our leading lady, Kim, begins.
And it also has this suspense of her having a baby by one of the Americans,
right,
and her still thinking and believing he's going to come back and get her out.
Right, and that, again, that reality, the reality of what we in the show call bui doi, which is Vietnamese for the dust of life, the mixed marriage children left behind, part of the detritus of any war, and again the humanity of that and the story of that, how this small little story is so profound. We just constantly, every time I've done this show, we meet people who have lived this story over and over, and we're always telling each other that everybody in the show is living something that someone lived.
Okay, so for people who, the show opens tomorrow night,
yep,
and for people who want tickets or more information, you can just go to our website, that's wnyt.com. Thanks so very much for joining us. We
Pleasure.
appreciate it.
Appreciate
and have
that.
a great time.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll be right back.